Hello, my dear friends. I hope you all have been doing good, and I hope the weekend has started on a very amazing and a very positive note, my dear friends. Yes, okay, friends, we are now doing supply chapter, okay, which has to be the fourth chapter of our entire GST journey, and we plan to finish supply and composition scheme today. Okay. So, friends, let's do it and let's do it with a bang. Sure. Okay. All those, my dear friends, all those who have started watching, well, can comment. I'm absolutely out there to resolve all your issues. Okay. Chale, fadafat se. Let's start, my dear friends. Let's start. Just a second. Okay, my dear friends. Okay. So now we are doing supply, my dear friends. Supply is a very, very, very important chapter. Okay. It's basically nothing else but, my dear friends, it is the taxable event of GST. What do you mean by taxable event of GST, my dear friends? Very simple. When I talk about supply, so if you basically do the crime of supplying goods or service, correct? If you basically do the crime of supplying goods or service, then in that case, okay, you have done the crime under Section 7 of the CGST Act, and which is why you will be subject to CGST. Okay, perfect. Okay, I hope this is very clear, my dear friends. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me, guys? Yeah. Please keep replying, guys. Please keep replying. Yeah. Okay. Is my voice audible, guys? Is my voice audible? There is no background noise, right? Just a second. Okay. For May 24 inquiries, you all can please log on to the number which is given in the caption, my dear friends. Okay. Whatever. So, supply, my dear friends, understand is divided into, okay, supply, my dear friends, जो है, okay, is divided into three parts: 7.1, 7.2, 7.1a. Okay. 7.1 talks about what is a supply. 7.2 talks about what is not a supply. And 7.1a talks about classification. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Okay. Okay, Heath Kubadia. Okay. Chal. So first of all, let's start with 7.1. Okay. My dear friends, 7.1 talks about very simple: 7.1a, 7.1b, 7.1c. Bolo, 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 bolo. 7.1a, 7.1b, 7.1c. There is an additional section that is also added to the kitty, and that is 7.1 AA. 7.1 AA. But we will come to it when we will come to it. 7.1a. Focus on that first. 7.1a, my dear friends, talks about a very simple thing: all forms of supply of goods or service made for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business. First, we will focus on what is goods. Goods, my dear friends, is nothing but anything that is a mobile property, except my dear friends, understand, money and securities, but is also including actionable claims. So remember, in SOGA, even actionable claim was excluded. But understand, in GST, the actionable claim is included, because actionable claim, one of the example is, my dear friends, lottery, betting, and gambling. And just because initially there was luxury tax imposed, lottery tax imposed on it, and now it is subsumed in GST, government also wanted to implement GST on these lottery tickets. So now it's very essential that actionable claims becomes a part of goods. Only then can I levy GST. Okay, perfect. So it includes actionable claims, but it excludes money and security. It excludes money and securities. There is one more note specifically made to it with respect to PSLC, that is priority sector lending certificates. Okay, these are the certificates that one bank, okay, sends to another, right? Now understand one thing, my dear friends, because of certificate, okay, there was a confusion that is the treatment supposed to be as same as share certificate? Answer is no. RBI said that don't treat it as a security. It is not a security. So we considered it then, okay, fine. If it's not a security, it is a movable property. If it's a movable property, period, simple, it is goods and it will be subject to GST. Perfect. Next, my dear friends. Okay. With respect to other few matters, okay, when it comes to derivatives, right? When it comes to derivatives, futures and options, right? Understand, they are also considered as security under SICRA, that is Securities Contract Regulation Act, and which is why it is neither goods nor service, no GST shall apply. Okay, but understand, when we talk about forwards and futures, okay, there is a concept of actual delivery and there is a concept of net settlement method. Actual delivery means, for example, if I take futures, okay, of let's say 1 month, and I say I want a future of Reliance, and that is available at 1000. So, what does that mean? After 1 month, I will purchase that share and simple at what price? 1000. Okay, the price of which is fixed today, but the delivery of which will I will get 1 month later. Is that very clear? Yes. So, in that case, my dear friends, okay, the seller will sell me the shares and I will pay him the money. So now, my dear friends, all I want to tell you, all I want to tell you, all I want to tell you is that if, if, okay, in case there is delivery of securities and cash will come in, okay, so I will give Reliance ka share, money comes in that case, understand what am I selling? Share is a security, no goods nor service. But let's say, for example, this happens in commodity market, right? Where, for example, I'm saying I want 1 kilo of wheat or 1 kilo of guar gram or 1 kilo of gold. Okay. After 1 month, then in that case, I will have to, the opposite person will have to give me the delivery of gold and I will have to give him cash, the price of which will be fixed today. So, okay. So if there is actual delivery of goods, then definitely it is supply of goods, GST shall apply. But if there is a net settlement as in, for example, if I commit that I will after 1 month purchase it for 1000 rupees, and let's say the price at that juncture happens to be what? 1100 rupees. Then in that case, understand, okay, the opposite person has agreed with me that he will sell to me at 1000. So now what will happen is I will get that gold at 1000 and immediately I can sell in the market for 1100, right? So instead of doing this delivery of goods and all of that, net he will give me 100 rupees and that contract will be ceased, correct? So in the case of net settlement method, again, it is a security, my dear friends, and security is neither goods nor service, no GST shall apply. Secure debt, again, my dear friends, is a derivative, and derivative, my dear friends, is a security under SICRA, and which is why, again, it's neither goods nor service. So I hope, my dear friends, okay, you are very clear with respect to the position of derivatives. Okay, yes. Uh, Avni, for that you also have to show the respect of switching on the video. But since you are not doing it, okay, that's how it is. That's how it goes, right? So you need to show the respect if you really need what you ask for. Correct? Absolutely, right? Next is service. Service में क्या है, my dear friends? Okay, service में the concept is very simple. Anything other than money, goods, or securities. Anything other than goods, money, or securities. Very simple, right? So it's neither money, neither securities, and neither goods, right? Perfect. Next is it includes separate consideration. It includes separate consideration. Now understand there are three aspects to it. One is use of money. What do you mean by that? Very simple. So, for example, let's say I'm talking to Heath Kobadia, right? So, let's say, for example, I'm giving loan of 10 lakhs to Heath Kobadia, and he in turn returns me 10 lakhs, but with interest after 1 year of rupees 1 lakh. So, I give him 10, he gives me 11. I give him 10, he gives me 11. Then, in that 11, my dear friends, it will be a bifurcation of two things. 10 lakhs will be the principal amount, 1 lakh will be the interest amount. The 10 lakhs, which is the principal amount, is nothing but a transaction in money. Transaction in money, give and take of money, right? And money is neither goods nor service, no GST on 10 lakhs. But when it comes to 1 lakh, understand, interest, what they say, is a separate consideration that you have charged, is a separate consideration that you have charged for using money. Okay, and which is why in that case, my dear friends, okay, that portion, that interest portion is a service portion, and that service portion, my dear friends, as of now, government has exempted it. Are you getting it? Yes. Okay, under entry number 27. Okay, but tomorrow if government withdraws that exemption, understand, okay, again the charge will be alive, and that interest will be taxable when that exemption notification is withdrawn. But as of now, it is not withdrawn. End of discussion. It is exempt. Okay. So basically, the entire 11 lakhs, no GST will apply. But the reason of not applying is different. For 10 lakhs, it is neither goods nor service, which is why there is no GST. And in 1 lakh, obviously, there is interest, okay, which is the service component, and hence it is exempt. Okay, perfect. Next is, my dear friends, conversion from, okay, one currency to another currency. Conversion from one currency to another currency, very simple. I give you $1,000, okay, and $1 is 70 rupees. The RBI rate is $1 is equal to 70 rupees. But instead of asking 70,000 from you, MS, instead of asking 70,000 from you, I am asking 70,700. 70,700. Now in that case, 70,000, okay, I giving you $1,000, you giving me 70,000. I giving you $1,000, you giving me 70,000. That is money, transaction in money, right? Neither goods nor service, no GST. But when it comes to 700, my dear friends, it is service portion, okay, and service portion is subject to GST. Correct. Next, one denomination to another denomination, very simple. Okay, I give you 2,000 rupees ka one note, and you give me, let's say, 100 rupees ka 18 notes. When I ask you why did you give two notes short, then you say that is the commission. That is the commission, because you wanted chota, you wanted change, and which is why you pay the price of that change. Right? So that 200 rupees extra that I'm giving you, the 200 rupees extra that I'm giving you, understand, is the consideration for you, and which is why that is a service portion, and that is subject to GST. But that 1800 rupees I have given, I have taken, I have given, I have taken. In that case, understand, it is money, neither goods nor service, no GST. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Next is, my dear friends, consideration. Consideration means there are two parts: activity without consideration, consideration without activity. Activity without consideration, consideration without activity. When I say activity without consideration, that means I have supplied goods or service without consideration. I've supplied goods or service without consideration. So basically, I am giving you free goods and service. Clearly, what I'm doing right now. Are you getting it? Yes. Okay. But I am taking lectures on YouTube Live. So whoever wants to, revise the GST. Generally, the market charge of this fast track course is 5 to 6,000 rupees minimum, right? But simple, I'm not charging you for that, right? So that is the free thing that I'm giving you. So am I giving you service? Yes. But am I charging consideration? No. Hence, it does not form part of 7.1a. Hence, it is not a supply. Hence, there is no GST because there is no taxable event that is levied. Are you getting it? Yes. Second, consideration without activity. In that case, I have received consideration, but I'm not giving you any goods or service. So you have given me money, but I'm not giving you any goods or service. Now for this, there are three situations that there are three conditions that I'm so sorry. There are three conditions that need to be satisfied. Only if that happens, simple, it satisfies 7.1a. So there, the basically situation that we're looking out for is quid pro quo. It should be quid pro quo, something in return. And if something is not returned, simple. End of discussion. It is not 7.1a. So, for example, let's say if my mother goes to a temple and she asks for a mannat that God, please help. Let's say, for example, Manasa. Yeah, God, please help Heath. Yeah, MS. Yeah, Sorry. Pass in this first attempt. Pass in this first attempt. Correct? Please do that. Please. Right? And the God says, okay, wish is granted. Okay, so everyone who's attending this lecture, all the 11 people out here, MS, BS, Heath, Avni, Manasa, okay, Sorin, everyone, Ria, everyone is passed. First attempt, pass, ye ban gaye, bhai, ye ban gaye. Okay, now understand. Now the pressure is on your dad, who has to pay that charity. right? So what happens is very simple. Now you pay, let's say 10 lakh rupees for the charitable trust, but understand what happens is that charitable trust, okay, carves your name. Now there is advertisement in your society, everyone starts knowing you, but understand this was not intended. This was not intended, right? Huh. If at the time of giving that 10 lakhs, I would have directed him that you will have to write our name, you will have to, or either, for example, advertise our services or goods, okay, of the business that I'm doing, anything of that sort. If that intention is stated right up there, it is a supply because there is a quid pro quo. I'm giving you 10 lakhs, you're putting a holding of my business. But let's say if you yourself, as a charitable trust, feel that this should be done, there is nothing written, and I have not guided you. Okay, my entire objective is to give you dan, to give you charity. Simple. Then in that case, it ends, my dear friends, and it will be considered as if I have given you money, but the temple has not done anything for me, and which is why in this case it will be not a supply. So there will be three conditions. One is that the money should be given in the form of the gift or donation, okay, to whom? Charitable institution, and it should be a philanthropic activity, it should be a philanthropic charity, and it should not be a sense of advertisement. Are you getting it, my dear friends? Yes, advertisement, supply. Philanthropic, not a supply. Very, very, very simple. You can just write down for yourself that the philanthropic activity is very important. In case, okay, let's say instead of that, if it is advertisement, then it will definitely be a supply, right? You can just write for your own sake, so that's easier for you to understand. Okay, now understand, when it comes to business, okay, it's very important for you to understand that the goods and services that you are supplying for a consideration, it should be in the course or furtherance of business, in the course or furtherance of business, right? Because if it is not, then it is not satisfying 7(1)(a), then it's not a supply. For example, okay, I am a professor, I teach, my job is to teach. Okay, I purchase a car for my personal use, I sell it. Is it in the course of furtherance of business? No, not a supply. Is it, for example, let's say Rohit Shetty is a car dealer and he purchases and sells a car. Is it in the course of furtherance of business? Yes, then it is a supply. For Rohit Shetty, supply. For Karan Shet, not a supply. Got it? Yes. But also understand what is business. Business is actually trade, commerce, profession, vocation, anything and everything, anything and everything, anything and everything. Either it's with profit or without profit, with profit or without profit. Simple. Second is, does not even matter whether, okay, the activity that you're doing with respect to trade, commerce, profession, vocation, okay, doesn't matter if there is any frequency, volume, or regularity of the same. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're doing it for once or for 100 times or 365 times. Does not matter. Only matters is that you're doing it, and that's enough. So for example, entire year I am making money through coaching and teaching, right? Correct? Second, but for let's say 10 days, okay, since I was pretty good at dancing in my college days, my dear friends, I take up a dance workshop. I take a Garba workshop. Right? Correct. And I make 10 lakh rupees because of it. Simple. That is a supply. Even though the frequency volume does not exist, even if it is for 10 days, doesn't matter. It is a vocation. I'm getting a consideration and it is in the course of business. Simple. I will trigger 7(1)(a) and it is a supply. I have to pay GST in case I exceed the threshold limit. Are you getting it? Yes. So that's about it. Next is, my dear friends, okay, 7(1)(a). Sorry, 7(1)(a) हो गया है. Okay, 7(1)(a). Okay, so 7(1)(a). Okay, we will just wrap it at one thing. Okay, that there is supply of goods or service for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business, and then we went on to define goods, service, consideration. Consideration में what is activity with consideration, activity without consideration, and consideration without activity, and the last is what is business. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes, sir. Okay. Okay. Guys, I am able to hear, I am able to understand. Is my speed correct? Please reply. Please reply. Everyone, please reply. Go ahead. Reply, guys. Reply, reply, reply. Okay, sure. आ जाओ. 71AA. When I say 71AA, my dear friends, I talk about unincorporated association giving goods or service to members. Now, understand the relationship between incorporated association, and its members was different, and unincorporated association and its members was also different. Incorporated association and its members, simple classic example is company and members. Company and members. Separate legal entity, yes. But when it came to what, my dear friends, very simple, unincorporated association and its members, the concept is very simple. Okay, they were considered as the same person. So if there is any transaction, okay, let's say for example, unincorporated association give goods or service to member giving consideration to association or vice versa, since the transaction is happening between the same person, understand there was no supply, because for supply you need to do the transaction between two distinct person. Okay, but that was clearly not the case, because that was the relationship that incorporated association and members shared, and not unincorporated association and the members. Okay. And which is why, to make sure that even these transactions fall under the purview of GST, because a lot of transactions between club and members, society and members were getting evaded because of this. And which is why government thought it's important that we introduce another taxable event and categorically state in 71AA that listen, unincorporated association and its members are also now, okay, distinct person, at least with respect to GST. And if there is any supply between them, it will be considered as supply under 71AA. It's an amendment, guys, that has just recently happened. Okay, the question can be asked if they really want to ask. Okay, so be aware of this. Next is, my dear friends, 71B. 71B क्या है, my dear friends? Very simple. 71B में there is import of service for a consideration, whether or not in the course or furtherance of business. So does not matter whether you are importing this service for business use or personal use. Business use or personal use doesn't matter. 71B will be satisfied. It will be considered as a supply, and 99% in this case, it is the recipient who will pay tax. So either there will be RCM, or either, okay, these services that are actually imported, okay, will be exempt. Okay, so when will it be exempt? I will talk to you when we reach exemption, and I will also connect that with 71B. But as of now, just understand, if you satisfy three conditions, import of service, understand it is import of service, not import of goods, because import of goods ka taxable event will be taken care by section 12 charging section of Customs Act, right? जहाँ पे BCD भी लगेगा and IGST भी लगेगा, both of them will get levied, correct? Now the fact of the matter is, my dear friends, understand that when it comes to 71B, right, they only categorically state about service. Okay, they categorically state about service. So please make a note of that. That 71B, have to remember, import of service is covered here, because goods is covered in customs. For a consideration, okay, simple. For a consideration, whether for personal use or business use, does not matter. Does not matter. Is that very clear? Correct. Okay. Done. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay. So that is definitely, my dear friends, with respect to 71B. Okay. Now that we have done 71A, 71AA, 71B, there is a simple thing, Rajvi. There is a simple thing. There is a simple concept of, okay, uh, basically profit petroleum, that is introduced in CA final, and on which a lot of times questions have arisen, right? So yeah, if you are a part of my Telegram community today, I'm also going to send you that question of profit petroleum, and I really want you to solve it. Let's see who can. Okay, so chal. So the first thing, my dear friends, the case out here is, one is a licensor, the other is licensee, right? Licensor will grant the license to the licensee. Okay, and licensor obviously in this case is CG, and they are granting license of, let's say, exploration of petroleum. And finally, let's say contractor, the licensees, let's say Reliance, they take the license. Okay, but for taking the license, for purchasing the license, you need to pay consideration. Now consideration, understand, are in two forms. Okay, one is fixed lump sum. Okay, so there is a lump sum royalty, and the other is okay variable, which is in the form of profit petroleum, right? So understand the lump sum part where understand, let's say for example I'm CG and you are Reliance and I'm granting you license, you will give me let's say 100 crores lump sum. Okay, understand. So that transaction is very clear where I'm granting you a license and part of the consideration you are giving me 100 crores. What will happen to that 100 crores? That lump sum royalty that I'm getting, what will happen to that 100 crores? Very simple. Are you business entity? Yes. Am I CG? Yes. CG providing service to business entity whose preceding financial year turnover, if it exceeds the threshold limit, definitely RCN will apply and Reliance will pay tax on that 100 crores. Do you get that, my dear friends? Do you get that, my dear friends? Answer is yes. Okay. So point number one, that is sorted. So we are sorted with this. GST आ जाएगा and उसमें भी क्या है? GST will be paid as per RCM. By whom? By the business entity. Okay. The second thing, my dear friends, out here is profit petroleum. When I talk about profit petroleum, my dear friends, the concept is very simple. Profit petroleum is equals to what? So how does the profit come? Very simple. Okay, it's after total sales minus cost. So understand, I get the license. Understand, sorry, you get the license. After getting the license, okay, what will you do? You will start digging, you will start extracting. So now you have the oil. Once you have the oil, you will process the oil and accordingly sell the oil. So now you have the proceeds. So out of the proceeds, you will reduce cost of petroleum. That will be expenses incurred in exploration, production cost, whatever royalty. Okay. So all of that is reduced, right? And finally, you will get, okay, a profit petroleum. Now, this profit will be apportioned between two stakeholders. One is the CG and one is the contractor, that is Reliance himself will keep it. Now, understand when it comes to cost petroleum, understand these are the costs that Reliance has, okay, incurred to make sure that they make a profit. Okay. Okay. And how will they make a profit? By selling something. So there is a cost incurred to make a sale. So first, obviously, out of that sale, okay, money towards the cost will be taken care of, and obviously, Reliance has sold some oil, right? So obviously, oil is not subject to GST, so there is no question of GST in that case, right? While Reliance is selling the oil that is extracted, there is no GST there. Okay, okay. Now money comes in. Now money that comes in with Reliance first will be apportioned towards the cost, so that is gone. So let's say the amount that they have received as total proceeds is 500 crores. Let's say 100 crores is gone. So now 400 crores, 50-50 ratio. 50 will go to CG, 50 will go to Reliance. Simple, right? In that case, 200 crores, 200 crores. So here also there is absolutely, okay, understand the portion that is kept with Reliance. Reliance cannot give service to Reliance. So no GST there. But the 200 crores which is given to CG as profit petroleum, on that tax implication could have happened, just like the royalty wala thing. But government has exempted that. Okay. So government has exempted this portion. And this obviously there is no question of GST because it is your profit you are keeping with yourself. Okay. So there are three things. One, lump sum consideration, GST as per RCM. No questions asked. Profit petrol, how does that arrive? Total minus cost. Cost, Reliance will keep it within itself. So obviously there is no tax implication there. And the profit that is arrived will now be divided between both the stakeholders, contractor and the CG. Okay, what contractor keeps for himself, obviously there is no implication of GST because it is me who has done the thing and it is me who's actually burning the benefit out of it, right? And the second is the portion that I'm giving it to the government. It could have been subject to GST because it is a consideration that I'm paying for the rights that I'm purchasing from you, right? Then in that case, government said nothing doing, profit petroleum will be exempt. Okay. Yes, profit petroleum component that is going to the CG will be exempt. Okay. So I hope you are very, very, very clear about what the effect is and in which situation GST will apply, in which situation it will not. Okay. Is that very clear, Rajvi? Manasa, Avni, MS, BS. Okay. Is everyone very clear with this? Okay. Keep answering, guys. Keep answering. थोड़ा जोश दिखाओ यार तुम लोग ऐसे ना. Always get pumped up. Always get pumped up, guys. Always get pumped. Pachamutu, how are you? Yenna Raskala minded. Vanakkam. Vanakkam Pachamutu. Okay. Yes, Pachamutu, I don't even know you are from inter or finals here. Hope you are for finals here. Okay. Okay, Pachamutu. Sure. Okay. Okay, done. So we are done with 7-1A, 7-1AA, 7-1B, 7-1C is now there out in the open, which we need to conquer, my dear friends. Okay. You're done with 7-1C, you're done with 7-2. Then the only thing left is 7-1A. Okay. Sure. आ जाओ फटाफट से. Okay. When it comes to, my dear friends, 7-1C, we talk about deep supply. When it comes to 7-1C, we talk about deep supply. Deep supply means what? Very simple. All the activities which are without consideration. All the activities which are without consideration. In that case, understand one thing. Firstly, it is not a supply, but in the next four cases that I'm going to discuss, they are definitely considered as supply, supply, supply. Are you getting it? Yes. And with supply, deemed supply. So to become normal supply, you need consideration. But when there is no consideration and there is still a supply, then you call it deemed supply. Got it? Yes. Let's do. Okay. So there are four cases. Okay. First, case number one. Case number one, guys. Case number one. Right. Case number one is once there is permanent transfer of a business asset where ITC is available. Okay, all the three conditions should be satisfied. There is permanent transfer, okay, of a business asset where ITC is available. Now understand there is a logic behind this, guys. Okay, government says, okay, that listen. For example, if you are purchasing, let's say, a cloth, right? If you are purchasing a cloth, understand you can take ITC of it, but just make sure that you sell the cloth and you charge output tax on the same. That's all government is asking. That's all government is asking. That whatever you are purchasing, try to make sure that you sell it tomorrow, right? And you charge GST on that. If you do that, clearly, okay, I will allow you the ITC. Simple, yes. But now what happens? What happens? Let's say, for example, I have purchased a cloth. I have taken ITC for the same. Sir, how can you take ITC when you have not sold it? I can take ITC of this cloth against some other sale that I have done, right? Right? I understand the ITC can be taken against any goddamn output tax that I have charged, right? Not necessary कि जो खरीदा है वही बेचे. Not necessary that what I've purchased, okay, I have to take ITC of that against the output tax of the same thing that I will sell. I can take ITC against any article that I've sold. Simple. Okay. Now, understand ITC has been taken. So benefit has been taken. Reimbursement has been taken. Now the thing is, you see your girlfriend out there and it's her birthday and she likes a certain garment and you gift. You get emotional and you gift. Not realizing that it's bloody a business asset on which you have taken ITC. And now it is permanently transferred. Because now you cannot ask for it back again when she has won it. Correct? So clearly here what government says is that listen, you should have charged output tax. Only then you are eligible to get ITC. But since you have not charged output tax, you are not eligible to take ITC. You have taken ITC. So something on which you are not supposed to take ITC, something on which you are not supposed to take ITC, you have taken ITC. You have taken ITC, and that is wrong. That is a sinful act that you have done. That is a sinful act that you have done. And which is why, my dear friends, the concept is very simple. The government said, okay, then listen, do one thing. This activity will be called as deemed supply under section 71C. And since it is a deemed supply, okay, there is a taxable event that you have triggered. Obviously, you will have to pay something. And what is that amount that you are paying? Exactly the ITC that you availed. Are you getting it? Yes. Right? You are giving it back to the government. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. So this is the reason why, okay, any case, understand where there is permanent transfer of a business asset where ITC is availed, okay, it is a deemed supply. But what if I tell you, let's say, for example, something like this happens where there is permanent transfer of a business asset where ITC is not available, where ITC is not available. In that case, will it be a classic example of deemed supply? No. Because understand, you have not taken the benefit. So there is no point returning the benefit. If you have not taken, you have not taken. Right? We are questioning you about that benefit which you have taken, but you are not supposed to take it, which you have taken, but you are not supposed to take it. And which is why now that you've taken it, return it back to the government. How will it happen? Very simple. The permanent transfer that I've done will be considered as deemed supply. That deemed supply, I have done a crime. Now I have to pay for it. And the amount that I will pay is most probably what? That that I've taken as ITC, which I shouldn't have taken in the first place. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Is that very clear, Pachamuthu, Rajvi, Avni, MS, BS, Sorin? Say yes, sir, guys. Say yes, sir. Come on, come on, come on. Yes. Okay. Now, the next point is, my dear friends, the next point we are talking about is principal and agent. Okay. Principal and agent. Understand? Now, what do you mean by principal and agent, guys? Okay. Very, 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 very simple. Okay. Firstly, understand that when we talk about principal agent, we are only talking about principal agent with respect to goods. Okay. Principal agent with respect to goods. Okay. Not with respect to service, with respect to only and only goods. Only and only goods. Okay. Yes. Now, obviously, when it comes to principal and agent, there are two types of agent. One is selling agent, one is buying agent. One is selling agent, one is buying agent. Best part is whatever I say for selling agent, mutatis mundandis, shame to shame. Kya beda? Shame to shame applies to buying agent also. Okay, very simple. Now understand. Okay, now it's very important and pertinent for you to understand that let's say there is a principal, there is a agent, and then there is a buyer. Correct? There is a principal, there is an agent, there is a buyer. There is a principal, there is an agent, there is a buyer. Okay, now understand one thing very clearly. If this agent has been given the right, the authority to transfer the title, okay, okay, understand the principal has given the agent the right to transfer the title, then in that case, what will happen? Okay, it will be as good as understood that principal purchases goods, he actually sells it to the agent, agent sells it to the buyer. Okay, that's how the transaction will be considered, right? Because in this case, understand agent actually will be considered as a normal buyer only, right? Agent itself will be considered as a normal buyer only for the principal. Okay, and the ownership transfers, just understand that principal to agent and then agent to buyer, right? It's just that here in this case, understand agent issues invoice in own name. Got it? Agent issues invoice in his own name. Are you getting it? Yes. So is there authority to transfer the title? Yes, there is authority to transfer the title. Okay. Now let me tell you how things will happen here. Let's say, for example, this guy purchased goods worth rupees 10 lakhs plus GST 1 lakh, right? Then principal sells goods without consideration. So in this case, what will happen? Selling price will be nil plus GST will be. So it will be assumed, my dear friends, that principal, if he wouldn't have, okay, given this to agent and to third party, it would have maybe sold it for 15 lakhs. It's a assumption that I'm making. It's an open market value. So principal, if it would have not been an agent, okay, understand. I will not charge anything to my agent, understand, right? But if there would have been a third party, I would have sold it for 15 lakhs. So now, since this is a deemed supply, understand this is a deemed supply, correct? There has to also be a deemed valuation to it, right? And the deemed value will be 15 lakhs multiplied by 10%, 1.5 lakhs. So 1.5 lakhs is what principal will charge agent, right? Now, understand. Agent tomorrow when he issues invoice to whom? To the buyer. Selling price, let's say 20 lakhs. GST is 2 lakhs. So here, if you will see the transaction very carefully, you will realize principal ka input tax was 1 lakh. The output tax ka window that he got was of 1.5 lakhs. Right? When it comes to agent, okay, जेब से गया 1.5 lakhs. And agent charges to the buyer 2 lakhs. So principal will get ITC of 1 lakh, right? तो जेब से गया 1, चार्ज किया 1.5, आपके जेब में 1.5, right? You will keep from 1.5, you will keep with yourself 1, and remaining 0.5 you will give it to the government. When it comes to the agent, okay, जेब से गया 1.5, the amount that you have charged to the buyer is 2 lakhs. So out of that 2 lakhs, you will keep 1.5 with yourself, and 0.5 you will give it to the government. Is that very clear? So 1 lakh is recovered and 1 lakh 50 is recovered. Got it? Got it? Yes. Which was not possible initially, because initially, understand, principal used to purchase, and let's say principal was in Maharashtra. He used to give goods without consideration, which was obviously not a supply. An agent used to actually sell it for 20 lakhs plus GST 2 lakhs. So here what happened was the output tax was actually charged by the agent, but the person who was supposed to take ITC was principal. But principal cannot take ITC because he is not charging output tax. Who is charging output tax? Agent. Right? So input tax is being incurred by principal, but output tax is being charged by agent. Now, that was the issue. So agent, he had only one option to collect and pay, collect and pay, collect and pay. Collect 2 lakhs, pay 2 lakhs, collect 2 lakhs, pay 2 lakhs. And what happened with principal is that since he did not have the outlet to charge GST, he did not charge output tax, and which is why his input tax credit could not be availed and it had to become part of your cost. It had to become part of your cost. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes, sir. Correct? So, which is why all I'd like to say is, my dear friends, okay, that 10 lakhs became 11 lakhs as the cost. That 10 lakhs became 11 lakhs as the cost. Are you getting it? Yes. And obviously, that 11 lakhs will then go to agent. And in that 20 lakhs, you will have that 1 lakh. And obviously, that 1 lakh is GST, input GST, which is present there. And which is why the concept is very simple, my dear friends. Tomorrow, when that 20 lakhs is subject to GST again, the cascading starts. So, to avoid that cascading, government said, okay, is there a way where we can ask principal to charge GST to agent. So government said, okay, let's do one thing. Let's make this a deemed supply. And with deemed supply comes a deemed value. And which is why I had to charge on that theoretical value of 15 lakhs, 1.5 lakhs GST. Okay, where the concept became very clear. Buyer gave money to agent, agent gave money to principal, and that's how all the input taxes were getting recovered. Okay, I hope you all got that, guys. Okay, principal was able to recover 1.5 and agent 1 point. Sorry, principal was able to recover 1 and agent was able to recover 1.5. Okay, by charging 1.5 year, by charging 2 year. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Is that very clear, my dear friends? Is that very clear, my dear friends? Hmm. Say yes, sir. Guys, इतना तो डिसेंसी बताओ यार. Come on, come on, guys. At least make sure that you all are cordial enough that you all are replying. This is the least I can expect. Prachamuthu, Rajvi, Avni, Heath, MS, BS. Come on, come on. Okay, yeah. But understand, my dear friends. Understand. If there was principal, there was agent, and there was buyer. And let's say agent does not have the authority to transfer the title. Agent does not have the authority to transfer the title, right? In this case, what will happen? Invoice is got it, and hence there is no got it. There is no authority to transfer the title. Okay? Next, what happens is here directly it's the principal who issues the invoice. Got it? So principal purchases 10 lakh ka maal, GST 1 lakh, and principals only sells it for 20 lakhs plus GST 2 lakhs. Got it? So 1 lakh jeb se gaya, 2 lakhs coming in the jeb, 1 lakh I'll keep with myself and 1 lakh I'll give it to the government. Very simple. Are you getting it? Yes, that's how it is. So agent here, okay, merely is for the purpose of connecting two people. There is no other role that he's playing. Gotcha? Gotcha? Yes. Okay. So in that case, understand principal agent relationship will not be covered under 7.1. See, there is absolutely nothing called as deemed supply. Okay. Deemed supply is only possible where agent has the authority to transfer the title. So if agent issues invoice in his own name, understand it's important that principal charges GST to agent. And principal can charge GST to agent only when the relationship between principal and agent is covered under deemed supply. Otherwise, understand if agent does not issue invoice in his own name, okay, agent issues invoice in the name of principal only, then understand then in that case, it's the principal who is billing. It's not the agent who's billing. So if the principal is billing, principal is charging output tax, and principal has only incurred the input tax, he will easily take the ITC. He will easily take the ITC. Are you getting it, my dear friends? Yes. So there is no concept of 7.1c then. Because the reason I want to connect principal and agent is because agent is charging GST. So that I want to so that I want to make sure that the bridge, that the chain is not broken. And since the chain is not broken, I will, in the sense the change, and since the chain does not get broken, it's very important and pertinent that principal charges GST to agent. Okay. And when does that happen? When there is a deemed supply. And when there is a deemed supply, when agent charges GST to buyer. And when does agent charge GST? When he has the authority to transfer the title, when he raises the invoice in his own name. Simple. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. ठीक है? That's it. So first, the foremost conclusion that we will do here is when agent issues invoice in his own name, principal agent relationship is covered under Schedule 1, that is covered under 71C. Okay, agent does not issue invoice in his own name. Principal agent relationship is not covered under Schedule 1, and hence understand there is no authority to transfer the title, and hence principal agent relationship is not covered under Schedule 1, is outside the purview of 7(1)(c). Is that very clear, my dear friends? Thank you. Okay, sure. अब एक छोटा सा पार्ट है with respect to DCA that you need to really clear up, right? DCA. Now understand what is the full form of DCA. Can anyone tell me the full form of DCA? It's not DSA. Understand? DSA is direct selling agent. What is a DCA? Come on. Come on, write in the comment section. That's absolutely correct. MS, that's absolutely correct. It is Del Caterer agent. Okay. Now, what does a Del Caterer agent do? Very simple. Del Caterer agent, my dear friends, takes all the risk that he can. He actually guarantees the principal. He actually guarantees the principal that don't you worry, the buyer that I'm connecting you with is a genuine buyer, and in case he does not pay, I will pay. I will pay you. So that significantly decreases his risk. And very simple, my dear friends, in that case, that does not mean that delegator agent will, you know, will waive off that money from the buyer. No. As of now, what he will do is he will pay off to the principal, and then he will take the same money from the buyer with interest. So he will not let go of him. Understand? Because money does not grow on trees, at least for the DC. At least for the DC. He will take it from the buyer, but with interest. Gotcha? Yes. Okay. Now, understand one thing. Okay. Before we go ahead with this entire concept, I just want you to understand two things. Okay. So, understand, my dear friends, whenever I talk about interest, whenever I talk about interest, okay, it's very important, my dear friends, that you understand that interest will come in two situations. One is in case of repayment of loan, and the other is when there is delayed payment of consideration. Got it? Yes. One is the loan, and second is delayed payment of consideration. Okay. One is the loan, and the second is delayed payment of consideration. So, for example, I'm giving you loan, and you repay me the loan with interest. So, I'm giving you 10 lakhs, and you are giving me 10 lakhs plus 1 lakh interest. In that case, understand one thing, that 1 lakh interest that you are giving me on account of repayment of loan, that, okay, interest is certainly exempt under entry number 27. And the second thing, where I have as a supplier, understand, okay, supplied goods or service to you, and I tell you that listen, I've supplied you goods or service, you need to make payment to me within 3 months. So, okay, I give you a credit period of 3 months. Now, if you pay me that 10 lakhs within 3 months, fair enough, I don't charge you any interest or any late fee or any penalty. But if you give me on the sixth month, then let's say I have already told you that I will charge you interest 1% per annum, right? So 3% I will charge you because there is a 3 month delay. So 10 lakh ka 3% is 30,000. In that case, very simple, you will pay me 10 lakh plus 30,000. Now understand, this 30,000 is nothing else but interest on delayed payment of consideration. Are you getting it, guys? 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 And this clearly is covered under 15(2)(d), and hence, my dear friends, okay, it will be included in the value of supply and thereby subject to GST. Okay, is that very clear? Correct. Okay, that's it. Okay, but my dear friends, understand. Okay, when it is in terms of loan, that interest is exempt. Okay, I hope this is very clear, guys. Right? I hope we are making this very, very, very clear. You already studied this in Inter CA. So I hope we are very clear with this. Okay. Now, now that you've understood that interest rate is charged in two cases, it's very important for you to also understand that listen, there is a principal, there is a DCA, and there is a buyer. Now, if I tell you that this DCA has the authority to transfer the title, that means, what does that mean? Okay, DCA has issued invoice in his own name. Okay, so invoice in own name. So what does that mean? DCA can charge GST to buyer. DCA is as good as has sold goods to buyer, right? He has sold goods to buyer, right? Okay. So whenever this situation happens, tell me, principal and DCA relationship where obviously the goods must be given without consideration. Will this be considered under deemed supply? Will this be covered under deemed supply? Hell yes. This is deemed supply under 7(1)(c). Achha, why would I say that? Very simple. Because the DCA, my dear friends, has issued invoice in his own name. Right? So principal DCA relationship automatically gets covered under Schedule 1, 7(1)(c), where principal will charge GST to DCA and DCA will charge GST to the buyer. Okay. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Now, what I am trying to basically understand, my dear friends, is that now what happens is there was a credit period of 3 months given to the buyer by the principal. He does not land up paying. Who is supposed to pay? Tell me who is supposed to pay? The DCA, correct. The DCA will pay the principal. Now, DCA will not leave the money, but DCA will ask the buyer that, okay, listen, कोई बात नहीं, I have paid on behalf of you. Now you pay me with interest. But understand, you are paying me what? Are you paying me? Are you repaying some loan to me, or are you repaying some loan to me, or are you paying me the consideration of the goods that I've sold to you? I want the answer. Tell me. I'm not moving without this answer. I'm not moving without this answer. Tell me. What is the buyer doing? Is he repaying the consideration back of the goods sold to him, or is he paying the loan back that he has been remitted from DCA? Is it the loan or the consideration? Loan or consideration? Loan or consideration? Tell me. Tell me, guys, what has DCA given to buyer? Correct, Avni. Absolutely correct. It is the consideration of goods sold by DCA. Got it? Array, got it? ठीक है, it is the consideration of goods sold by DCA. ठीक है? Now, if that obviously the consideration was in delay, because if it would have been on time, DCA would have never intervened, right? So now, because of this delay in consideration, DCA will collect the consideration plus interest. Now, what will happen to this interest? Tell me, what will happen to this interest? Correct. It will be added under 15(2)(d. It will clearly become a part of value of supply. और उस पे लग जाएगा GST. Is this very clear, Prachamuthu? Is it very clear, Prachamuthu? Yes. But my dear friends, understand, when there is principal, when there is DCA, and when there is a buyer. But in this case, understand, he does not have the authority to transfer the title. It does not have the authority to transfer the title. Understand, in that case, what will happen? Okay, what will happen? First thing first, principal and DCA relationship is not covered under 7(1)(c), and it is clearly not a deemed supply. Right? Okay. So principal is not charging GST to DCA. Okay. Clearly because DCA is not charging GST to buyer. Now, does DCA have the authority to transfer the title to buyer? No. So can I say he has sold goods to buyer? No. So can I say that when after 3 months buyer said I don't have money, the only thing DCA said to buyer that listen, I will act as a bank for you, right? Consider I'm your guarantor. I'm paying on behalf of you. Okay, and I will provide you short-term facility so that your name does not ruin in the market. So I will pay to the principal. Okay, and let principal go off. But after 1 year, you are going to pay me the amount with interest. Buyer says, okay, done. And then what happens is that buyer, when repays the amount, that repayment is of consideration or loan. It is of loan. It is of loan. And that is accompanied with interest. And that interest is exempt. Are you getting it, guys? Tell me yes or tell me yes or no. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Hope you all have got it. Hope Manish, you all have got it. Hope Avni, Rajvi, MS, Heath, Panchamuthu. Hope you all have got this. Okay. चलो, तो ये बात हो गई अपनी किसकी? Yes, we are done with principal and agent. Okay, perfect. Now comes, my dear friends, very simple topic, and that is okay with respect to supply of goods or service between related person, distinct person in the course of business. Yes. Supply of goods or service between related person, distinct person in the course or furtherance of business. When it comes to related person, my dear friends, all I have to tell you is common directors, common partners, member of the same family, where always focus. Spouse and children are always the member of the same family. Spouse and children are always the member of the same family. But my dear friends, understand, when I talk about parents, grandparents, brother, sister, parents, grandparents, brother, sister, and understand, they are supposed to be wholly dependent. They are supposed to be wholly dependent on you. Okay. So spouse and children, they are always a part of your family. But parents, grandparents, brother, sister will be a part of your family only and only if they are wholly dependent on you. Okay. Only and only if they are wholly dependent on you. And in question, if they only mention brother, understand that that brother is independent. Okay. So if they want you to consider this as a related person, they will categorically state brother who is dependent on his wife, sister who is dependent, mother who is dependent, father who is dependent. They will mention. If they don't mention, it is clearly supposed to be understood that he is independent. If he is independent, he is not a family. He is not a family. He is not a related person. Simple. No question of 7-1C. Next, holds 25% or more in both of them. So let's say X Limited holds more than 25% in A and B, 80 and 40. Then A and B will be considered as a related person. Mind you that. Okay, we are talking about the thing. Next, both control third person. So X and Y have a stake in, I'm so sorry, Y and Z have a stake in X Limited. So there are only two shareholders. Again, in this case, X and Y and Z are related persons. Okay, here third person controls both the person. So C Limited actually, okay, forms the composition of board of directors of P Limited. And when it comes to R Limited, yes, same as here. Okay, so here P and R are related person. Okay, and the last is, my dear friends, employer-employee relationship. Very, very, very important. So frankly, what I feel from related person, on the last day, you at least go and see members of the same family wala part and employer-employee wala part. That's it. That is the most important. Okay, in employer-employee, understand there is a proviso. Okay, there is a proviso, and this proviso is, okay, proviso to section 7-1C. Okay, and that is that if employer gives gift to employee, employer gives gift to employee up to 50,000. Okay, per employee per financial year, per employee per financial year, then it is not a supply. Then it is not a supply. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes, sir. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes, sir. But if it is 50,001 rupee also, understand your transaction will fall out of proviso and it will be covered by the main section, that is deemed supply 7-1C. Got it? Yes. So either it will not be a supply altogether, or either it will be a supply altogether. Okay? Yes. Next, just like we did related person to definition, we are supposed to do the definition of distinct person also. Okay, in distinct person, understand, okay, very, very, very simple. They are defined under 25.4 and 25.5. In 25.4, understand, okay, the distinct person, when I talk about it, okay, the first thing that you should remember is that we are only talking about branches. So, for example, understand, DMart had a lot of branches. Bata has a lot of branches. Big Bazaar has a lot of branches. Sorry, they had a lot of branches. Now we have what, Reliance Bazaar, right? Smart Bazaar, right? They have a lot of branches, right? So all I want to tell you is, my dear friends, that whenever this concept of branches comes into picture, you have to think about distinct person. Now understand, DMart Mumbai, DMart Ahmedabad, they are one and the same. Okay, anything that someone sells here or there, the money will go in the same bank account of DMart Limited, right? So they have the same PAN. They have the same PAN. All the branches have the same PAN because together it's just the one bank account that gets triggered, right? All the transaction can be traced through one. Okay, perfect. Now, understand one thing, my dear friends. Under 25.4, government says that, listen, if you have a branch either within the state or outside the state, within the state or outside the state, within the state or outside the state, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. It's just that both the person should be registered person. Both the branches should be registered person. If both of them are registered, if both of them are registered, mark this, mark this, mark this. First example is within the state, second example is outside the state. But just ensure that if both of them are registered, both of them are registered, simple. Then in that case, it is a distinct person. But my dear friends, okay, both of them are outside the state, Maharashtra, Gujarat. One is registered, one is unregistered. One is registered, one is unregistered. One is registered, one is unregistered. Doesn't matter. In that case, also government says as per 25(5), it is a distinct person. Okay, so distinct person may, okay, there are three examples. In 25(4) there are two, and in 25(5) there is one. 25(4) both have to be registered. Either the branches are in the same state or outside the state. But when it comes to 25(4), one branch is within the state, one branch is outside the state, one is registered, one is unregistered, one is registered, one is unregistered. Okay, and one more I would like to actually ask you to, you know, add to this distinct person ka list. If you have some place here, right, somewhere here, just add it, add one more example, and that is of explanation to section 8 of IGST Act. So for example, let's say Infosys Mumbai giving service to Infosys in, let's say, New York, right? Simple. Okay, so if one of the establishment is within the country and the other is outside India, so if one of the branches is in India and another branch is outside India, even this relationship, my dear friends, will be called as distinct persons. Okay, under explanation 1 of section 8 of IGST Act. Okay, so even this is a classic example of distinct person. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Okay, so any transaction between them also can lead to deemed supply. ठीक है, that's it. Yeah, gift can include anything. It can be either goods or it can either be service or it can either be money. But understand, okay, if I am giving money of rupees 1 lakh, it is neither goods nor service nor GST. Okay, yeah. So it can be a deemed supply, but it cannot be deemed supply of goods or service. So it is neither goods nor service. So if I really want to give someone more than 50,000, I would rather give him cash because it's neither goods or service, no GST, right? So that is one good tax loophole that you can explore. Okay, fair enough. That's it. Okay. Mm. And the last is, my dear friends, import of goods or services from related person or distinct person in the course of business. In that case, also it will be a deemed supply. Remember it this way. Okay. If there is import of service, now understand, since we are in 7(1)(c), it will be obviously without consideration. And I also understand that if you are actually importing it, so you are actually purchasing it from the supplier who's outside India. Now, person who's outside India either has to be a related person or a distinct person, either your holding subsidiary or maybe your, let's say, a branch. Only then will you get it for free of cost, no, right? Now if that is for free of cost, that is without consideration, and it is in the course of business, it is in the course of business, then only understand it will be a deemed supply. So make sure that you satisfy all the conditions. It is import of goods or service from a related person or distinct person in the course of business. Bang on, deemed supply. Any of the one condition, done. Then it is not a deemed supply. Even if one condition is not satisfied. Is that very clear? Yes. Okay. Now, all I want you to do is just make sure that you remember, right, that when it came to import of service, Where was it else mentioned? Tell me. Where was it mentioned elsewhere? Okay, correct. If there is import of service with consideration in the course of business. 71B. Okay. In the course of business or for personal use doesn't matter. ठीक है. Second, if it is without consideration, then in that case understand, if it is between related person or distinct person without consideration in the course of business, 71C shall not apply. Sorry, 71C shall apply and it will be a deemed supply. But let's say, for example, if it is other case में क्या है? Related person या distinct person है, but personal use, or else let's say it is from a friend, so it is neither a distinct person nor a related person, but it is in the course of business. Even in that case, 71C shall not apply. Got it? So it's very important that it should be either related person or distinct person, or it should be either. Okay, and it should be at the same time also in the course of business. Either of them is not satisfied, end of discussion, 71C will not apply. Right? Yes. So ensure when import of service comes into picture, you think of 71B, 71C, 71B, 71C. But 71B should come to your mind only if that transaction, okay, the consideration part exists. Then think about 71B. But when it comes to 71C, the consideration part does not exist. Right? Think about that only when consideration part does not exist. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Okay, fantastic. So that is one thing that needs to be very clear, and understand when you are importing goods or service, just check the status of importer. Okay, let me repeat this. If you remember the example of me and Rohit Shetty, I was selling the car. So in that case, supply was the crime. So I was looking at the transaction from supplier's end. So I will check whether I am a car dealer or not. I'm supplier, right? And supply is the crime. 7-1 is supply is the crime. Supplier is the crime. Supply is the crime and supplier is the crime. Right? So I am supplying. I am a car maker, car dealer, supply. I am not a car dealer, not a supplier. But when it comes to import of service, let's say, for example, understand I have imported service for some business dispute. Then in that case, understand it is from a related person. Let's say it is from my brother or from my wife or from my son. Is it related person? Yes. Is it without consideration? Yes. Is it in the course of business? Yes. Done. Legal dispute of family person. Now understand, since I am importing service, I am the importer. I am doing the crime of importing, and hence I will have to pay tax, and hence it is my status which will be checked. So, am I taking the service in the course of business or not? That will be checked. Got it? So, always check in the course of furtherance of Bala condition from who is supposed to pay tax and who has done the crime. Supplier to supplier ka check karo. Importer, then check importer's status. Got it? That's it. Okay. Okay. We are now left with only two things, my dear friends: 7(1)(a) and 7 subsection 2. Okay, 7(1)(a) and 7 subsection 2. Okay, we will do 7-1A quickly and then we will take a short break. Aajo. 7-1A, my dear friends, only talks about classification. Okay. So before GST, understand there was a confusion. The same thing. Okay. Let's say, for example, I talk about restaurant service. There is hospitality service also. There is food also involved. So partly it used to be considered as goods and partly it should be considered as service. For goods, they used to levy VAT and for service, they used to levy service tax. VAT, SG, service tax, CG. VAT, SG, service tax, CG. That was the reason of bifurcation. But in GST, there is no point of bifurcation because whether you classify at goods, whether you classify at service, at both the junctures, you are going to charge CGST, SGST, CGST, SGST. So both the governments are going to get the tax. Period. Okay. So there is no point of any classification with respect to the fact where a certain single goods partially is classified as goods and partially as service. No. There is no point classifying the same thing in two different ways. So either we are exclusively making sure, okay, that something is goods, or we are exclusively making sure that something is service. Either we are exclusively making sure that, okay, something is goods, or either we are exclusively making sure that something is service. Simple. So wherever there were confusions in previous tax laws, we are giving clarity to them. Whenever there were issues in the previous tax laws, we are giving clarity to them, right? So whenever, so restaurant in that case was thoda goods, thoda service. In GST now, they have completely said that it is only service. Same was with catering. Same was with works contract, right? So every time there was a confusion there is clarity here. Simple. Okay. Now, when it comes to transfer of title in goods, what do you mean by that? Transfer of title in goods, my dear friends, very simple. For example, okay, understand this is a mobile phone. I am an owner of that, okay, and I sell it to Avni. I sell this to Avni. Supply of goods, no brainer. Transfer of right to use without transfer of title. Let's say, for example, instead of selling it, Avni said, "Sir, can I get it on rent for 1 day?" I said, "Okay, fine. The rent is 100 rupees." So, does she have the right to sell it ahead? No, because she's not the owner. She's just using it for 1 day. And hence, she will take my phone, use it for 1 day, give it back to me along with rent, and simple. It ends there. Got it? Yes. So, here there is no transfer of title in goods, there is only transfer of use, and hence it is supply of service. Okay. Third is transfer of title exists, but at a later date. But at a later date. Okay. In that case, understand there is supply of goods. Okay. Now, what do you mean by that? Very, very, very simple. Okay. Higher purchase wala case, very simple. Understand. Okay. What I mean by this is, let's say, for example, there was Chroma, and then there is me. So now I wanted, for example, a laptop. Now that costed 40,000. But I said, no, Chroma, no, Chroma, I don't have 40,000. I only have 11,000. He said, okay, fine. Do one thing. Give me 11,000 ka 4 EMIs. So now the same laptop ka transaction value for you is 44,000. Because you are paying me not in one shot, but in 4 installments. So 44,000 is your selling price. I said, okay, fine. Right? Now understand that initially, okay, this 44,000 was bifurcated into 40 and 4, 40 goods, 4,000 interest, service. But understand, in GST, the entire 45,000 is considered as supply of goods. Why? Why so? Why so? Very simple logic. What government says that, listen, today or tomorrow, the title is getting transferred. Today or tomorrow, the title is getting transferred. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, sir. Simple. Then in that case, understand one thing. It is supply of goods. Okay. That's it. Fourth, lease tenancy license to occupy land or building. So basically, I am Okay, leasing land and building. I am leasing land and building. Simple. I am renting land and building, supply of service. Right? Also, transfer of tenancy rights against tenancy premium. So there is a concept called as Pagadi system. Right? What do you mean by Pagadi system? Very simple. What used to happen is basically, okay, let's say there is a landlord and there is a tenant. Okay. So at the very juncture, right, when the agreement happens, and when the right to occupy the land, the right to occupy that premises, I'm so sorry, is given to the tenant, so when there is transfer of tenancy rights. Understand here, the tenant becomes the co-owner, is something very similar to that, right? He takes co-ownership, right? And he gives a big lump sum amount, right? So let's say in 1980s, if you wanted to buy, you had to, pay, let's say, for example, a sum of 10 lakh rupees. And now you are the co-owner, as good as that, right? So tomorrow what happens is that this tenant sublets, and the rent that this guy is paying to the tenant will be shared between the tenant and the landlord. Got it? Yes. And tomorrow, if let's say the landlord asks the tenant, or listen, get out of this premises, tenant says, okay, fine, but pay me this much amount. Because understand, the right to occupy that premises is with the tenant. So you cannot just say get out. No, right? So what happened is that in this case, once you have to pay a lump sum amount of 10 lakhs, and then, okay, forever you have to pay a very nominal rent of something as small as 100 rupees per month, right? As small as that. Whereas actually the rent exists 30-40,000. So in this case, what government said is, listen, boss, this is to service. उसमें कोई question नहीं. There is no question when renting of a property is a service. But even this is something that tantamounts to service, where you are giving them rights, okay, tenancy rights, and opposite person is giving you tenancy premium. So that is considered as supply of service only. Consider it as good as renting transaction only. Okay. Next, treatment or process on goods supplied by another person. Very simple. This is called job work. Where I give you gold and you make jewelry for me. Where I give you cloth, you make shirt for me. Simple. You are giving me service. Simple. Supply of service. Okay. Renting of immovable property, obviously supply of service. Okay. Intellectual property, it's if it is permanent goods. If it is temporary, then it is service. Intellectual information technology software, pre-packaged software like Tally or antivirus, okay, which is basically given by the way of media device, physical media device, supply of goods. Design, development, upgrade. In that case, I'm specifically making a software for you. Supply of service. Okay. Next is works contract, my dear friends. Works contract, simple. Initially, pre GST law, okay, it was thoda considered as goods, thoda considered as service. Why? Because the classic examples of works contract is, just write down, construction, repairs and maintenance, renovation, installation, right? All of that. All of that. Is that very clear? Yes. So that's it. That's it. Now, this portion always had a goods portion and a service portion. Goods portion and the service portion. Are you getting it? Yes. Goods portion and service portion. Goods portion and service portion. Right? So, your government has said now clearly it will be only service. Right? Though there is goods portion in it. So, for example, something like construction. Right? So, I want to, let's say, for example, build a 10 crore ka, okay, bungalow. Now there will be bricks, there will be cement, there will be architect, labor, engineering service involved, correct? Right? In that 10 crores, everything will be given to me, right? So in the goods portion, VAT used to get levied, and service portion, service tax in pre-GST. But government says nothing doing. When it comes to works contract, where though there is certain goods and certain service portion involved, the entire 10 crore will be considered as what? Only and only service. That's it. Next, food supplied by the way of restaurant and catering service. Okay, so now whenever you're going to restaurant, just say that I'm going to take restaurant service. Right? Perfect. Next, transfer of business asset. This is a really interesting thing. Why do I say that? Very simple. Let's say, for example, on one day, Jethalal decides to shut down his business. Correct? Now, the thing is, on 30th night, you have stock. You have closing stock. And on that closing stock, understand, ITC is already availed. ITC is already availed. Now, understand, if I've shut down the shop, understand, am I going to charge GST? No, because there is no way I'm going to sell it. Right? This stock remains in the godown. This remains unsold. Now, what did I say in the starting? If you take ITC today or tomorrow, you have to charge GST. Right? But will I be ever able to charge GST on this? No. Why? Because I have closed down the shutter. I have now stopped running my business. So again, I have taken ITC of something that I shouldn't have taken. I have taken ITC which I shouldn't have taken. Got it? Yes. Okay. And which is why, my dear friends, understand one thing. Which is why, my dear friends, understand one thing. Correct. Okay. I will consider this as deemed supply. Okay. And pay that GST back. Okay. Perfect. So it will be considered as goods. So goods forming part of business asset carried on by a person who ceases to be a taxable person. Now that will be considered as deemed supply of goods. Got it? Got it? Yes, sir. Yes. Next. If entire consideration is before CC or OC. If entire consideration is before CC or OC. So here what happens is, my difference. Understand? CC or OC. CC is completion certificate, OC is occupation certificate. Right? Whichever is the earlier date, you check for yourself. And if the consideration is received before CC or OC, let's say 10 crores is received to you while the property was under construction. And let's say 10 crores is received to you when the property was built. It is ready for possession. In this case, understand one thing, my dear friends. If it is before, then understand they have just laid down a brick and you have got 10 crores. As builders, you have just laid down the brick and you've got 10 crores. Now, how will you show this transaction? Have you supplied goods to the buyer? No, there is nothing. There is air. That's it. And some hope. Is there some immovable property? No, nothing doing. But government wanted to trace this transaction and say that I want to levy GST on it. And which is why they said that if the consideration is received before CC or OC, we will consider it as supply of service. They categorically mentioned this and said that I will levy GST. And they do levy GST. At the rate 5% residential, 12% commercial. किया था ना कल, yesterday we did. But when the entire consideration is after CC or OC, right? After CC or OC. Then in that case, understand the flat is already been built. The flat is already been built. It's ready for possession. All you have to do is just give me the keys and pay the money. Simple. All you have to do is just, okay, take the keys. End of discussion. End of discussion. Okay. Take the keys, pay the money. Take the keys, pay the money. Now in that situation, now in that situation, understand one thing. Understand one thing. Okay. It will be considered as good as sale of immovable property. And this is not a supply, as it is covered under section 7 to sale of land and building. Samjha? Did you get it? Did you get it? So if it is an under construction project, service. But it is a completed project, CCOC pass ho gaya, the CCOC has been passed. Either of them has passed. And you get the consideration, entire consideration after this. Simple end of discussion. It is not a supply. Not a supply. Take it. And last, my dear friend, is the recent amendment that has happened. So please mark it important. It is a recent amendment that has happened. Okay. Refrain from doing an act or tolerate an act. So there are three things: refrain from doing an act, tolerate an act, or agree to an obligation to do an act. Now, in all the three, what is important is, my dear friends, that there are two conditions should be very clear and important. One is there should be an express agreement where both parties agree that if this thing happens, this is what shall be the result, right? So obviously, in that case, the supplier is desirable of the fact that if such thing occurs, simple, you are going to give me consideration. And second is consideration must flow in return for the contract. Very simple. Okay. Now there are these long, the entire discussion of this goes in like 20 pages, but we don't have that time. So I have helped you by uh, clearly, making a very precise discussion where we are just resolving it year and year itself in less than quarter of the page. They have taken few cases which are supply. They have taken few cases which are not a supply, right? So now cases which are supplies. Okay, simple. First is non-compete fees. Very simple. So as soon as a employee leaves, right? Let's say the ex-employer, okay, makes him sign a non-compete that you will not teach for the next 6 months. You will not teach for the next 6 months. And for that, I'm paying you 50 lakhs. In this case, the ex-employee is refraining from doing an act. Which act? The act of not joining the competitor. And for that, he's getting compensated. Simple. There is an express agreement of this. There is an express flow of money from one party to another. Simple. It is a supply. Absolutely, it will be subject to GST. Okay. Yes. Also, the fact that it will not fall under 7 to employer-employee relationship, because here the transaction is happening between ex-employer and ex-employee. Okay. Ex-employer and ex-employee. Second, shopkeeper owing a hawker to operate from common payment in front of his shop. Right. So there is, understand, there is a 1000-meter shop of mine. And in the 100 meters, there is this bhel wala, pani puri wala, Okay, bhel le lo, bhel puri le lo, right? Idli le lo, right? So he's there. No, I can check him out, but I say that no, let him be there. People will come, eat, and then shop. Great. But tell him that he needs to pay rent. So there will be an express agreement where he will pay rent and this guy will, okay, give him the right to occupy that premises. Simple. So it's a positive agreement. Third, customer cancellation charges. Clearly here, my dear friends, okay, the airline tells the passenger that if you cancel, okay, before these many days, this much amount of refund. Before these many days, no refund. So they will categorically tell you that how much money they will deduct and return it to you, or when they will not return it. Very simple. Okay. And the reason is very simple, because obviously, if people will just keep on booking and then land up canceling, the entire flight will go empty, vacant. And who will bear the cost of the same? Right. So there is an express agreement to that. Okay. And it is clearly written in the booking system itself. And while you're booking the ticket, it is clearly written that it will be forfeited. Acha, charges on prepayment of loan. So instead of 10 years, you will repay the loan in, let's say, 2 years only. Now that is not a very good news for the bank, because they are no more getting interest from you. So they will take prepayment charges from you. Right? Why did you pay early? You took 10 years. You pay in 10 years. Now I will have to find another bakra, another goat. Right? Yes. So very simple, my dear friends. This is also an express agreement that happens between the banker and the borrower. Right? And it is a supply, it will be subject to GST. Early termination of lease before a certain period. Okay. So there is, let's say, a lease for 3 years. Now I'm not looking out for anyone. Someone did come to me 2.5 years back. But I said no, because you were there for 3 years. Now I've lost that opportunity. Now you have also gone. Now that person has also gone, and my land remains vacant without any lease. Let's see. So there is my loss, and I will recover it from it. It is a supply. Fair enough. Yes. So these are all supplies. You can clearly see there is a benefit at the end of supplier who is getting a flow of consideration from the recipient, right? But here, my dear friends, here you will see that it is not a positive agreement. It's a negative agreement. What I will say is that here, supplier will not look forward for these situations to happen. He will not look forward to, he will not look forward to these situations. If they will happen, it is a sheer loss that is not nominal nature. That's actually a loss that has happened to them. And it is a sheer compensation that the opposite person is giving it to him. So there is no supply as such. Let me see. Liquidated damages for breach of contract. Sorry. Liquidated damages for breach of contract. Now understand that the builder has told me that, okay, if in 1 year I do not make the school simple, I will pay you this much amount of liquidated damages. Now, why have I told that, okay, this 10 crore building, if it does not happen in 1 year, you will have to pay me 1 crore liquidated damages, because that is the school fees that I will lose. If I don't get that in hand, if I don't get that property in hand, my my business will face a loss, my reputation will be at loss, and this is the least you could do for me. Understand? It's a big damage you have done. It's a big, big, big damage. So, not a supply. Second, damages to property. So there was so already landlord have the practice of taking deposits, because they know then in case there is the property is damaged, simple, to cover that damage I have to have some deposit, so that I don't have to keep hangling around you, howling around you, saying what did you do, what did you do. I will use that deposit, repair that damage, and take it off. So how can that be a supply? You've ruined something, and now I'm making that good. I'm making that bad good. Third, compensation for piracy. Understand, I have made, after spending 100 crores, I have made a movie, Udta Punjab. Now, someone just a day before the movie releases, that movie is available on YouTube. Why will people go to theaters? Why will they go? My 100 crores are now gone for a toss. Now, even if I ask you 5-10 crores from you, there is hardly a compensation that I'm getting. The loss is done. I was supposed to By investing that 100 crores, I was supposed to make 1000 crores. Now it is available on YouTube. God damn it. Got it? Acha, fourth, check dishonor penalty. Now understand, in this case, there are two ways. Either the bank will recover money for you from you, or either obviously the bank will, if there is a default, your bank, since you are the recipient and the supplier, your bank will charge you, my bank will charge me. Now, whatever bank has charged me, if I recover it from you, obviously it's a loss that I have done. Am I receiving something out of it? No. Bank has told me to pay, I will ask you to pay. What is the supply in this case? There is no supply. It's a very negative outcome. Penalty imposed for violation of law. So if you have broken the signal and the Hawaldar charges you 1000 rupees, now what supply have they given you? And what consideration have you given them? Were you looking forward for this outcome? No. Correct? Forfeiture of salary in event of employee not serving notice period. This is especially for those people who are non-serious employees, because government wants to make sure that these employees stay for a certain period of time. If they leave before that, right? How will I arrange for another employee at the same place? Who will handle that work? I need to replace it with someone, not a supply. Understand, employer is not happy doing all this, but he has to discourage non-serious employees. Forfeit of earnest money by selling in case of breach of an agreement to sell any more property. Now, what happens is that, let's say, for example, if you like my property, I will ask for a token money 5 lakhs in case the property is of 1 crore. Right? I will ask you for a token. Now, what is that token money for? Very simple. Tomorrow you have said that, okay, now reserve this property for me. I've given you 5 lakhs. Now, in case tomorrow a buyer arises, this seller will tell that, okay, I have already committed to someone. You leave. I've already taken token of 5 lakhs from him, so I cannot commit to you because I've already committed to someone. Now you say that you don't want that property anymore. Obviously, I will forfeit that token because I've also let go of that other buyer who was supposed to, who was actually interested and was actually buying at a much higher price than you. So I'm not looking forward for this outcome, understand? Because there is a difference between selling a vacant seat and selling a flat. That buyer will not turn up very soon. And here, to any which ways, airlines always overbook. If there are 100 seats, they will book 110 seats. Yes, it has happened with me. I have taken the ticket and I'm showing up at the airport, and the airline says that, listen, the airline is full. I'm like, what the hell? If it was full, why did you give me the ticket? But that's the math that they play, that generally they overbook it by 10 tickets because they know that generally there are cancellations, 5 to 10 cancellations that keep happening. There are very few instances where everyone shows up, right? Something like that. So even this is not a supply. That's a compensation to previous allottees. So for example, let's say I was allotted a coal mine. Now Supreme Court says that, okay, now take that right off. But I have already started digging. What will happen to that? As he said, that give some compensation and take that right from Karan because he has, illegally taken it. What is this nonsense? Now already the damage has happened because I have started my business, and now you are saying that I have to revoke the right. Not a supply. Was not a supply. Not happening. These are clear cases where the supplier does not want such outcomes to come, but since the losses happened, damages happened, to recoup that, to compensate that, I'm taking the money, and hence it is not a supply. Okay. Next is note, no claim bonus. There is a note, and this is also an amendment, by the way. Okay. What is this note and what are we talking about? Okay. A policyholder is not providing any service in the form of refrain from doing an act, from lodging, okay, insurance claim. Hence, no claim bonus cannot be considered as a consideration for the same. Understand what is no claim bonus first, and then I will help you understand the context. So, for example, if I take a mediclaim of 10 lakhs, I will have to pay 20,000 as the annual premium. Okay. Health premium, health insurance premium. Okay. Perfect. So, that is done. Makes sense. Now, if I don't use that benefit of 10 lakhs in this year, next year, okay, they will give me a no claim bonus. They will reward me with the fact that I did not claim insurance. So they will give me a certain discount in my premium. So instead of 20,000, I will only have to pay 19,000. Let's now the 1,000 discount that they have given me is not a reward that insurance company is giving me because I've refrained from not exercising that option of claiming the coverage. I'm not refraining. Since I did not meet with an accident, I did not claim it. Simple. I'm not refraining to do an act. No, I choose not to because I'm not injured. And if I'm not injured, why will I claim an amount? Right? So simple. A policyholder is not providing a service in the form of refrain. So I'm not refraining from an act. I'm not giving any service to you. As a policyholder, I'm not giving any service to you. Okay. And you are not giving me any consideration in the form of no claim bonus. No, nothing like that is happening. I choose not to claim because I'm not injured. Simple. And for that, if you want to reward me, fantastic. I will consider that as a discount, reduce it from my value of supply, and take the net amount as the transaction value and levy GST on that. Got it? Achha. But understand when there is non-compete fees, I am refraining from joining my competitor, and for that I'm getting paid because that is the agreement I'm making. But I don't refrain from taking the coverage of 10 lakhs. The reason is because the very reason for which I have taken the insurance that has not happened to me because that insurance claim can be claimed. The insurance amount can be claimed only when there is a injury. But since there is no injury, there is no claim. Simple. Correct? That's it. So I am not giving you any services. The policyholder is not giving the insurance company any service. That's it. Period. Okay. So here, my dear friends, we finish off with the concept of 71C and 71A Schedule 2, where we classified which are the cases which are goods and which are the cases which are called as service along with amendments. Okay. Okay. Now, guys, it's 8:30. Okay. We are done with 2 hours. We are just left with one simple thing, and that is 7 subsection 2. 7 subsection 2. So we will do this. Okay. It will hardly take us 45 minutes. Okay. Let's take a short break of 10 minutes. Okay. Let's be here by 10:40. Right. And let's be back by 10:45. थोड़ा पैर दुख रहा है मेरा. Right. And yeah. And let's just finish off 7 subsection 2 along with section 8, that is composite supply and mixed supply. Done. Let's do that. Okay, guys. I was there. I was there. I was there. चलो आ जाओ फटाफट से. Okay, guys. Now we are basically wrapping up section 7, subsection 2, schedule 3, where we basically are talking about all those cases where it is not a supply of goods, neither it's supply of service. Okay, fantastic. Neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Absolutely. Point number one. Point number one is There is no supply in case of employee-employer relationship. So employee who is actually doing something for the employer and getting compensation, okay, the service that he's giving is not a supply. Understand? No GST. No GST. Right? Doesn't matter if he's withdrawing, if he's getting the remuneration in the form of salary, bonus, pension, premature termination, perquisites, nothing doing. Perquisites is a recent addition where they've given the clarification that perquisite is also something that you get during the course of employment, and which is why even that is not a supply. Simple. Second, non compete fees. When I say non compete fees, the concept is very simple. I just spoke to you about it, that it is a supply. But since the transaction here is between ex employer and ex employee, it falls outside the ambit of employment, and which is why it will clearly be subject to GST. Third, directors. When I talk about directors, my dear friends, one is executive director, one is non executive director. So now understand, executive director shares an employer-employee relationship with the company, is concerned with the company, and the salary that he withdraws. Okay, understand, the TDS under section 192 is deducted. And whenever you see this, end of discussion. Okay, you don't check about the titles, you don't check about whether he's executive, non-executive. Just focus on one thing, TDS. A TDS कैसे कट? If his TDS is getting deducted under section 192, he is under employment. Simple, he is getting salary, not a supply, no GST. But when, okay, the TDS is being deducted under 194J, it is under professional relationship, and hence in that case, okay, GST will apply because it is not covered under 7.2. It is a supply, and hence it is subject to GST. And whenever a non-executive director is actually supplying service, okay, to whom? To the company, then it's the company who's liable to pay tax as per our CM that we just learned yesterday. Okay, perfect. Next is fees put to court or tribunal. Simple. In that case, if you pay any fees, filing fees to High Court, Supreme Court, Tribunal, not a supply. Okay, Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Now, though commission is written here, but a clarification has been given that Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission has the same characteristics like that of a tribunal. Okay, perfect. And hence it's not a supply. Okay. And when it comes to arbitral tribunal, understand, it is a supply because arbitral tribunal falls outside the ambit of tribunal. It is not governed by any law, and it has its own private law, Arbitration and Reconciliation Act, and which is why, my dear friends, in this case, it is a supply. And ahead we will also see that there are times where it is exempted, and there's a time where the tax is payable as per RCA. Okay, perfect. Now, next comes, my dear friends, actionable claims. Actionable claims is actually divided into two parts. One is unsecured debts, that is basically the debtors, right? So, for example, if I am selling goods to, let's say, Avni, right, and she gives me bills receivable, right? Now, the bills receivable that I have, let's say I'm discounting it with the bank. Understand that transaction will be not a supply, okay? Because unsecured debt is covered under 7.2, not a supply, right? What is excluded from actionable claim is lottery, betting, and gambling, which is subject to GST, and that too at the highest rate, 28%. Recently, you must have seen, okay, interviews of Ashnil Grover, who was extremely worried about the entire betting, gambling, and lottery, companies, these Dream 11 companies, right? Correct. So it is a supply, it is subject to GST, right? Now, when it comes to these three transactions, 6, 7, 8, they are related to customs, right? So I'll just quickly brief through. For example, let's say something like this happens. Let's say, for example, Modi ji tells Putin of Russia to send goods to, let's say, Biden of America. Now understand, the goods are actually moving from Russia to US, Russia to US, Russia to US. Are they entering into India? No. So that's what they're saying, that if the goods are moving from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without entering into India, then in that case it is not a supply. Next, when it comes to, okay, a warehouse, right? Let me tell you something. When it comes to warehouse, let me tell you something very interesting. Okay. So for example, let's say this is custom port, right? And this is custom warehouse. Now, understand, ideally, if you want to clear goods for home consumption, very simple. I don't have to make you understand. Okay, you have to pay the duty years. Okay, you will have to pay the duty when you are taking it. You are clearing out of the port. You pay it then. Only then you will get the order for clearance for home consumption, and only then you can remove it. But if you are taking it all the way to warehouse, not for home consumption, but to warehouse, and from warehouse you are taking it for home consumption, so in that case, duty will be paid at the juncture of warehouse. Now, as it is said very clearly, understand what happened is that Mr. X had purchased the goods, okay, and had stored it in warehouse. And when the goods were there in warehouse, Mr. Y came to X saying that I want to buy goods. What happened is very simple. X charged GST to Y, because understand that warehouse is still a part of India only. It is in India only. So Y lands up paying it. Now what happens is, my dear friends, very, 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 very simple. Okay. And that is that Y, now when Y wants to remove the goods for home consumption, when Y wants to remove goods for home consumption, because now he steps into the shoes of importer, he will again have to pay BCD plus HWS plus IGST, correct? So again he pays GST. So he pays GST twice, when he removes from the warehouse, also when he buys goods from X. So government said that this cannot happen. One transaction cannot be subject to GST twice. And that's where government said that Mr. X, when you are selling goods which are warehoused goods, it's very simple, my dear friends. It's very simple. It will not be considered as a supply. It will not be considered as a supply. So whenever you are selling goods in the warehouse, it is not a supply, right? So now only once he will be subject to GST is when he is actually removing the goods, okay, from the warehouse. That is the time he pays BCD plus HWS plus IGST. So that's the only way he will bone the incidents, only once, not twice, right? And the last is high seas sale. So this is India, this is TWI, this is EEZ. So anything that is beyond EEZ here, right? Somewhere here. This is called high seas. And when I talk about high seas, my dear friends, understand, it is a no man's land. So if I have my ship here, vessel here, and the goods are being sold at this juncture to someone by the way of transferring or endorsing title, okay, then in that case, it is not a supply. Is that very clear? Yes, sir. Okay, that's it. Okay. So ensure that this is very clear. Okay. Next is, if you are, let's say, for example, some MP or MLA, right? Or a member of panchayat. Okay, this is just a printing error. Member of panchayat or a local authority. And if you are getting any salary, okay, from the government, not a supply. If you are, let's say, a person who's holding a constitutional position like president, prime minister, CAG, Lok Sabha speaker, the salary compensation you are getting, not a supply. Or you are a chairperson or director of a body that is established by CGSG. Okay. not a supply. Next. Okay, let's say for example, if you are okay providing services by the way of funeral, burial, crematorium, mortuary, right? Funeral Hindu people. Okay, basically that fire wala scene. Crematorium, electrical boats, burial Christians and Muslims. Mortuary is basically a place and hospital where all the dead unclaimed bodies are stored. Again, not a supply. Transportation of deceased person. Transportation of deceased person. Right? So basically there is transportation of service, but of dead person, deceased persons. Not a supply. Okay? Next. When I talk about CG, SG, UTLA, if they are providing any service, if they are providing any service which is basically a function covered under 243G or T40 243W, 243G or 243W, it is not a supply. So, for example, they are providing services like building roads, slum redevelopment, right, or building canals, bridges, not a supply, right? Acha. When it comes to sale of land and building, there is an amendment here. Let me explain you guys. So understand, if there is a builder, let's say landowner, landowner, okay, and he sells a building. Now this is not a supply. Now there is a question that what if this landowner, okay, has also erected a building up there, and let's say he has taken some leveling service, some drainage related system, some repairs and maintenance, right? And now he's selling that land and building, which is a leveled land and building. There is a drainage system, there is whatever the case may be. All these developments have happened, and he's selling that kind of a developed land and building. Again, that does not change the fact that you're selling any more property. So it's not a supply. And all the more the services on which you have paid GST in the form of input tax, this input tax you will not get any ITC, because obviously you are not generating any output tax. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Yes. Okay. So just check what I've written. Right. Land and building can be sold with or without development, like leveling, laying drainage, or water lines. Not a supply. Okay. So even if it is with the development, not a supply. And let's say if you are taking these services for developing something like this, okay. Obviously, for the opposite person who's the supplier and supplier giving the landowner service, that is a supply for it. He will charge GST, but I will not get it because I'm not charging IT. Because though I'm selling a developed land, a leveled land, a drainage land, doesn't matter. It's still an inward property, not a supply. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Okay. Right? And the next is, my dear friends, very, very, very simple. Okay. Interstate movement of various modes of conveyance between distinct persons. What do you mean by that? Simple. Understand. So what was the confusion? The confusion was basically that let's say if I have DMart Mumbai, DMart Ahmedabad. Let's say if I have DMart Mumbai and DMart Ahmedabad. Correct? Now understand, if I am sending a truck of soaps, so the soaps that are going there, let's say I sell soaps of rupees, let's say 5 lakhs. So the soaps that are going on traveling from Mumbai to Ahmedabad and from Ahmedabad, they will be sold ahead in Ahmedabad market only. That soaps is a deemed supply under 71C, supply of goods between a distinct person in the course of business. But there was also a question with respect to the truck in which they were going, the conveyance in which they are going. Some said that even this is supply of goods without consideration because it's actually going from one branch to another branch. Okay, between distinct person in the course of business. So the truck which is actually for 15 lakhs, levy also GST that. Government said don't act like an idiot. Nonsense. It is going and it is coming back. So every time it goes and comes back, okay, it goes Mumbai will charge GST to Ahmedabad. It comes, Ahmedabad will charge GST to Mumbai. Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Mumbai. What the hell? Are you insane? It is not supply. It is sheer movement. It is not supply. It is sheer movement. Interstate movement of goods. Once again, interstate movement of goods. Okay, that's it. That's it. Okay. So now doesn't matter if I am carrying goods, passengers, or is it for the purpose of repairs and maintenance? It will be not a supply. Got it. Correct. Next. Next is Maharashtra state government is, let's say, for example, giving license, okay, to BBQ wines who's running a wine shop. Now understand that there was clarity on selling alcohol, that it is outside the purview of 9 subsection 1, outside the charging section, no GST, no GST. But there was no clarity per se on license, granting license rights. And when there is no clarity, it is considered as service or goods, whatever the case may be. In this case, it was service, and GST was actually being levied. So the wine owners started complaining that, yeah, if you levy GST on us, understand, we will never be able to charge output tax because our output tax is in terms of VAT, not in terms of GST. Right? So our input is purchasing license of 10 crores, where GST you are charging me 1 crore, which will completely become part of my cost because I don't have output VAT. Now I don't have output GST, I only have output VAT. And which is why, my dear friends, to help the wine shops, government said it's time to reduce their cost. So whatever transaction is happening where Maharashtra state government is actually granting license to the wine owners, very simple, it is not a supply. Next. Next is, my dear friends, author transferring copyrights to taxman publisher, publisher then, okay, printing the books and then giving it to the bookstore. So understand, if taxman wants to make books and sell books, they need to take rights of content from the author, right? So author transferring rights to taxman. Now it depends whether it's a temporary or personal transfer of IPR, whatever it is, depending on that, temporary service, permanent goods. But we are talking about actually this transaction, taxman and bookstore. Simple. In this case, just understand here, taxman is nothing but manufacturer of books. Simple. And bookstore is wholesaler of books or retailer of books. So here it's the transaction is between a manufacturer and a trader. Okay, and what do they deal in? Goods. Simple. So whatever the publisher is giving to the bookstore, it's nothing but supply of goods. Perfect. Take next. Last is section 8. Last is section 8, which talks about composite supply, mixed supply. Composite supply, mixed supply. Right. When I talk about composite supply, my dear friends, tell me what is it? Either you are giving two goods, two service, or goods in service, and that too, they are both what naturally bundled. And that too, they are both what naturally bundled. Are you getting it? Yes. That too, they are both naturally bundled. In that case, my dear friends, understand one thing. Okay, if they are naturally bundled, something like mobile and a charger, laptop and a bag, right? Hotel and let's say restaurant service. For that matter, boarding school, education and accommodation service. All these are classic example of naturally bundled, right? Also, the fact when there is healthcare service, healthcare and food. So the food that they provide you in hospital is also a classic example of, you know, composite supply. Now, all these cases, simple. You will focus on principal supply. So whichever in that naturally bundled service has the majority stake becomes the entire supply, and the rate is also applicable of that goods or service, which is the principal supply. Second, mixed supply. Now, in this case, understand there are two or more goods or service or goods and service, but the offering here is for a single price. So here a mandatory condition is that of single price. Price to single होना चाहिए. Simple. Only then can I say that it is a mixed supply. Simple. And it should be artificially buttered. Obviously, it should not be naturally buttered. Okay. So something like toothpaste and toothbrush. So what I mean by single prices, for example, there are two ways of projecting. Let's say something like this. Let's say toothbrush and toothpaste both are available at 100 rupees. Both are available at 100 rupees. Simple. Are we giving more than one goods? Yes. Is it for a single price? Yes. Do I know the individual rates? No. And are they artificially bundled? Yes. So here I will have to multiply which rate? Highest rate. But if the same toothbrush, understand, okay, and toothpaste is given something like this. Toothbrush 60 rupees. Toothpaste 40 rupees. 100 rupiah. Got it? Then here I will not multiply any rate with 100 because I already know the bifurcation of both of them. So I'll take their personal rates. For example, understand, this was 18 and this was 12. This will be the entire 100 will be 18. But here only 60 will be subject to 18 and 40 will be subject to 12. Gotcha? Gotcha? Because here it is not a mixed supply. That's it, my dear friends. That's it, that's it, that's it, that's it, that's it. Okay? बस इतना बोलना चाहता था. But understand, when it comes to composite supply, that is not the case. Understand, when it comes to composite supply, that is not the case. In both the cases, okay, let's say for example, mobile and charger. Let's say if I say it's for 10,000 and यहाँ पे mobile 6,000, charger 4,000, hypothetically 10,000. Doesn't matter. Since it's a composite supply, it is naturally bundled. In this also, principal supply ka rate. In this also, principal supply ka rate. Right? So composite supply has nothing to do with what? Single price. In that case, if government considers that as composite supply, end of discussion, the entire value will be subject to one rate. But when it is an artificially bundled goods, and generally such cases are not available, understand in that case, please understand that in that case, correct, you will only focus on single price. If there is a single price, highest rate. If there is no single price, individual rates पे जाएगा वो. Simple. That's it. Right? And the last is, my dear friends, printing contracts. Okay? Printing contracts in this case, understand what is happening. For example, I'm talking about books, annual reports, pamphlets. Books, annual reports, pamphlets. In that case, understand one thing, my dear friends. Okay? Let's say let's say I was a Xerox and I give content to him, I give him the PDF and he makes a book for me. Understand, he's doing job work. He's doing job work, right? He's actually giving me service. Sorry. He's actually giving me service. And I'll tell you why. Because whenever you buy a book, do you buy it because the texture of that book is good or the content of that book is good? The content of that book is good, right? Which is why you want to read it, right? Even if that page quality is only be, 50-50 or so, doesn't matter. You will still buy. Got it? Because the content is enriching, the content is good, and the content is printed, and printing is a service. Understand? In printing, it's a composite supply. They are giving you printing service, and they are giving you that printing service on the paper. So there is goods also. So there is service, there is goods. There is service, there is goods. Now understand. When it comes to books, annual reports, pamphlets, content is the king. Content is printed. Printed is service, supply of service. But when it comes to tissue paper, envelopes, wedding cards, tissue paper, envelopes, wedding cards. Okay, there is a understand. Okay, that the wedding card is of 5 rupees also and 5 lakh rupees also. Now, what is the difference? The difference is the texture, the embroidery, the designing. So there, the paper quality matters. There, the because at the end of the day, the content is the same. Bride का name, bridegroom का name, and if they are chartered accountant, CA लिख दो आगे. And and obviously the venue details, what they're actually supposed to print, they don't print, and that is the menu. Have you seen ever? Have you ever seen that menu is printed? No, because they know that person who is not even making up his mind, if he sees the menu, he will make a point that he will come. Yes. So that's how it happens. So here the focus is on goods, quality of the paper, and goods is the principal supply, and which is why, okay, here we will classify it as supply of goods as the principal supply. Got it? So here, my dear friends, we clearly end with the discussion of what? We clearly end up with the discussion of supply. Got it? That's it. ठीक है? तो सप्लाई माय डियर फ्रेंड्स क्या है? फटाफट से याद करो. ओके. Supply, my dear friends, is 71, 71A, 72. 71, 71A, 72. 71, what is a supply? 72, what is not a supply? 71, my dear friends, is basically classification of goods or service. 71 is divided into 71A, 71AA, 71B, 71C. Got it? 71B is nothing but what? Supply of goods or service for a consideration in the course of business. 71A, incorporated association and its members. 71B, import of service import of service for a consideration whether or not in the course of furtherance of business. 71C, deemed supply. Deemed supply में 4 cases. First one, permanent transfer for a business asset having ITC. Principal agent relationship, supply of goods or service between related person or distinct person without consideration in the course of business. Import of service without a consideration between related person or distinct person in the course of business. Kuch. Then 71A, classification. 72, not a supply. Section 8, composite supply and mixed supply. Composite, principal supply, mixed supply, highest rate of tax. Got it, guys? Okay. So today, okay, if you all are not a part of my Telegram community, the Telegram channel ka jo link hai, it is in the caption. I'm going to send you, obviously, the notes that I've written up till now, and also the fact that I will send you a few questions. See if you can understand it. And I will send you the answers, tomorrow. A question karo pehle and see for yourself whether you can do it or not. It's a very tricky question related to supply, but I'll be more than happy if you can do it. Yep, that's it. I guess we will wrap up our discussion here. I think you will be tired by now. And tomorrow we will land up doing composition scheme. So tomorrow's topic, I'll declare it on the group itself. We will do composition scheme and we will do one more, I guess, a topic. Okay? And yeah, we will wrap it up that. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. That was good. And I hope you all had a good time, well understood things. And please, okay, it's a sincere request. Comment on the videos. Avni, Rajvi, Heth, comment on the video. It means the world to me. Show that much of courtesy. Right? If someone is putting in so much of effort day in, day out, do that for that person. It's a request. Please. Yeah. And everyone who's watching the video, please, please like the video, comment on the video. I'll be more than happy. Thank you. That's it, guys. That's it. Okay. I wish you a very happy weekend. And yeah, let's meet tomorrow. Let's meet tomorrow, guys. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hope these revisions are really helping you. If they are, please put up in the comment section.